Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, Ken, thanks very much. Yes, we're on the air already. It's that time. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on Pittsburgh CW. Gene Collier is playing his phone as I'm trying to concentrate on my delivery here.
So unprofessional.
412-575-2600 is the number to call. You can tweet us tonight at KD Pomp and at Gene Collier. We have a lot to talk about. The last three at-bats for the Arizona Diamondbacks have produced 15 runs. Yeah. The Pirates took a 5-0 lead last night into the 7th inning. Joe Musgrove cruising along when he decided to retaliate for Josh Harrison being hit, Austin Meadows being thrown a high, hard one. He hit a batter, fine. I have no problem. In fact, I get street cred for that. And then the Pirates made an error by David Freese, and if they had a challenge left, they would have challenged and found they could have won that challenge, but they used it earlier. And then all of a sudden, the whole thing went to hell, to be honest. And they got 5 runs in that inning. For the next inning, 9-5. Gene, I want to get your thoughts. I don't know what time you go to bed, but I tweet until 3 in the morning, so I watched the entire thing. Were you up?
I did stay up to watch that, yeah.
And?
I don't think I'll be up late tonight.
You never know. Maybe the Pirates will stage a reversal.
Maybe. Well, you know, there's good news out of the desert. In the first, it was still the first inning as I was driving in, and two of the 5 Pirate infielders still had not committed errors. So I think that's a positive sign.
Yeah, 2 errors in that first inning.
Yeah.
That was not good because it led Josh Harris, or Josh Bell, I should say.
There were 3 errors. There were 2 on one play.
2 on one play?
Right.
I missed that. So there were 3 errors on one inning.
3 in 1 inning.
But the throw by Bell was just awful. It reminded me of Pedro Alvarez.
That was an awful play. And then they walked the 8th hitter to pitch to the pitcher, who I don't believe has ever batted in a Major League game. And then they tried to pick the 8th hitter off first. Well, why did you walk him then?
And that led to 2 more runs.
And why would you ever throw the ball toward first with a runner on third? I never understood that in baseball.
No, me neither. And it looks like the Pirates now will lose their 8th series in a row. And this situation is going to get from bad to worse. They're 7.5 out of first place coming into tonight, likely go to 8.5, pending the outcome of the Cubs and Brewers. So we'll talk about that at 412-575-2600. Also, mini camp led to a mini controversy today with Antonio Brown, who shows up and decides to, for whatever reason, go out on a tangent and blame the media for all of his problems when it comes to having pressure in his life, no freedom at all. Gene, what was your thought when you saw this happen?
Well, what I thought about those comments, Bob, was that I'm glad to see that Antonio Brown is, you know, evolving in his life and getting more reflective and thoughtful and all those kinds of things. The one point where I would stop him is this contention that, you know, the media is keeping him from doing anything. I mean, if anything, it's the opposite is true. You know, he feels like he can't express himself enough, and yet he only talks on Friday. There are 6 other days of the week when you're allowed to talk to us, Antonio. So I don't want to hear much of that. But congratulations on, you know, considering some serious things, the future of your family, the future of your career. That's all good.
Yeah, the only thing I would tell him, and listen, what it all comes down to at the end is his production on the field. That's all that matters. If he's being bothered by anything, it should be bothered by his own self-inflicted social media habits. He puts a lot out on social media, and a lot of times people react to it, including the media. If you want to play that game, you have to understand what comes with it. Every time you're in a glamorous position, there comes scrutiny, and you're under scrutiny as a big-time player, especially one who's the best receiver in the NFL. I think if Antonio does what he does, everything's fine. This is not a big deal. It's just one of those things, but I would encourage him just to play hard, and not pay attention to what people are writing. Most people will tell you in locker rooms they don't pay attention to it, but I know they do. They shouldn't.
No, they absolutely shouldn't. I mean, if I was advising athletes, no one's ever asked me to do that, but I would say, please cooperate with the media.
I think you would be great as an athletic advisor. I do.
That would be good.
You have a lot of wisdom and ways of dealing with these situations.
Well, anyway, I thank you, Bob.
It's true.
But this is what Art Rooney II would call a minor annoyance.
Minor annoyance. There are a lot of them that pop up. But again, I go back to the Facebook incident in the locker room. That was him doing it, and nobody else did it. He brought it to himself. So
that was
you
not
can't
the
do that
media's
kind of
fault.
stuff.
That was Antonio's.
But if he keeps producing, and he will, I don't think this is a big deal at all. And by the way, I mention you because I had dinner tonight with some great people who supported the Catholic Youth Association, part of the Art Rooney Scholarship Award dinner.
That's terrific.
And they somehow bid money on a dinner with me. I want to thank Tim and Mr. Murphy and all of the guests here tonight because we had a good time, and they helped Catholic charities. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. That's very interesting that you did that, and I appreciate it. We're going to take a break, come back with more. It's 412-575-2600. Call us, get on board, air your opinions right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, Pittsburgh CW.